with my engine.
As an old man, though, I do hate young people.
I'm gonna live forever.
I hate you guys. The youth is wasted on the young is one of my favorite phrases ever. So Sauce Gardner, as a lot of people know, Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet. Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that goes following the Brett Favre thing all the way through, aren't you? Bringing along some of his Packers along with him to the new organization in New York. But the other thing that's been going down is he's been out making a little bit of rounds. You know, he's in New York. He's got to show his face. He can't be the mercurial, kind of weird, quiet guy he was out there in Wisconsin. Out here in New York, you know, the public image is part of it. So he's been going to Knicks games and doing stuff. And he was with Sauce Gardner, one of their more fun, outspoken corners, and a very good player in his own right. But he's young, and I just, boy, this new thing with young people, I get it. You were born later than the rest of us. Good for you.
I'm gonna live forever.
Some point you'll get here, too. And the lack of history and just general knowledge, I guess, is what I want to talk about. Because Sauce Gardner was sitting next to Aaron Rodgers front row, and his admittance to not knowing things, even Aaron shared this same, like, this new generation, man. This new generation. Sauce Gardner did not know who Jessica Alba was. Are you kidding me? She's still hot.
He was just picking on me a little bit for being young. You know, like, we was getting seated, and he was like, oh, we're about to sit by, what's her name? We're about to sit by Jessica Alba, and I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I don't know who that is. And he just looked at me. He looked at me like I'm crazy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just great just being able to sit over there, and I got to meet her and one of her friends who was from Detroit, actually. You know, it was great vibes, but that whole night, he'd just keep asking me out of nowhere. He's like, do you know who that person is? And I'm like, bro, that's Amari Stoudemire. I know who that is. Like, now you're just picking on me at this point.
Right there. See the part where he says he's picking on him?
Frustrating. Frustrating.
No.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
This is a real thing, and I've noticed this with this generation specifically. And yes, I'm getting old man on you. You kids today. But there is a truth, and maybe it's because you have so many different ways of entertaining yourself that we didn't have with apps and TikToks and all that, that maybe you have so much more out there. The lack of general knowledge of anything before you were born, it's almost not even anger. It doesn't even anger me at some points. I'm almost like Burgundy with a wheel of cheese.
Actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
It's fascinating that just by being alive, you don't know certain things before, you know, your time, quote unquote, or what you were born doing. The fact that Sauce Gardner doesn't know who Jessica Alba is amazing to me. I feel Aaron Rodgers' pain of like, dude, if you don't know who Jessica Alba is, let me point to every celebrity out here. In New York, the Garden's got plenty right now with the Knicks doing well. Do you know who Amari Stoudemire is? Do you know who Ben Stiller is? I mean, how far down the list do we have to go to find out just how, you know, in your own time, and it comes across dumb. It comes across dumb. I mean, you can say we're picking on you a little bit, the last generation, but there were things that I just knew that, you know, and stuff I didn't even see just by being alive and talking and listening and actually listening to what people told me. To this day, I've never seen Casablanca, ever. But if someone says, here's looking at you, kid, I know what they're talking about. I, you know, can't name you every song on the Beatles' White Album, but I know it exists. I know it was one of their big ones. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, here's looking at you, kid. I'm trying to think of other quotes that I would know. Or if you told me, like, what On the Waterfront. There's certain things where, dude, it wasn't my time. I wasn't around during Woodstock, but if you told me Jimi Hendrix, I wouldn't go like, huh? I don't know, man. That's a little bit before my time. That is such a stupid take that this new group, y'all need to work on this.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dum-dum talk.
I talk to people that play basketball and are in collegiate level basketball, and I'll bring up names that are from the, you know, the 90s. Like, I'm not bringing up Dolph Shays or Bob Pettit. I'll bring up Sean Kemp. You know, most people only know Gary Payton now because of his kid. I'll bring up, you know, mid-level 90s guys, Eddie Jones. You know what I mean? And they'll just be like, nope, nothing. I got no idea what you're talking about. Yet you play and study the sport all day long, and you don't know. That is not something that every generation did. Generations before you at least were aware of stuff going on around them and before their time, just from listening. I don't get the idea that it's okay to only know things past the year you were born and be proud of it and almost be dismissive of Aaron Rodgers being like, bro, do you know who anyone is in this building? You don't know Jessica.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, watch it one more time and listen to it one more time. His whole attitude once he got to, like, do you know who that is? And he finally knew Amari Stoudemire. Congratulations. He just retired like 10 years ago. It's not picking on you. We are genuinely confused by how much today's youth knows nothing about anything before the year 2000.
He was just picking on me a little bit for being young. You know, like, we was getting seated, and he was like, oh, we're about to sit by, what's her name? We're about to sit by Jessica Alba. And I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I don't know who that is. And he just looked at me. He looked at me like I'm crazy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just great just being able to sit over there. And I got to meet her and one of her friends who was from Detroit, actually. You know, it was great vibes. But that whole night, he'd just keep asking me out of nowhere. He's like, do you know who that person is? And I'm like, bro, that's Amari Stoudemire. I know who that is. Like, now you're just picking on me at this point.
It's not picking on you. We get genuinely confused. Even if we're not angry, we could even be impressed by your lack of awareness.
Actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
But you genuinely start asking about, it's like, you know, it's not like he brought up, you know, some 80s like Rick Moranis or John Candy. You know, it's not like he brought up Marlon Brando. Maybe he doesn't know. Once you tell me you don't know basic ones, and Jessica Alba was a mid-level celebrity, but she's a beautiful girl, still to this day, pretty smoking hot lady. And you would think just by that alone you might know the reference. So maybe the Alba thing isn't the fairest, but I just heard this yesterday and it made me, I had to bring it because, you kids these days.
I'm gonna live forever.
I've had this conversation a million times, and my new favorite, and I've had to avoid it, is y'all wearing the, ironically, T-shirts of rock bands that you can't name a song to.
Frustrating. Frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Even outside of the realm of sports, of when I talk to someone who plays a sport that they are trying to do either collegiate or pro level, at, and don't even know the history of anything pre the year 2000. You know, ask a running back who's Eric Dickerson, they look at you cross-eyed. Wearing a shirt is really, you're begging, and the old man in me struggles with this. You are begging me to come out and ask you, oh, you're wearing Nirvana, what's your favorite song? I don't know any songs. Nah. No.